Welcome to our presentation on voting in a federal election. We are joined today by our partners at Elections Canada to provide you with information about how to vote in Canada-wide elections. I'd first like to introduce our organization. Brain Injury Canada's mission is to empower and connect the brain injury community through education, advocacy, and collaboration, creating lasting positive impacts. Every eligible person in Canada has the right to vote, and thanks to our partnership with Elections Canada, we are continuing to create accessible information and resources to help our community during elections.
Hi there, my name is Tag O'Mara, and I'm an outreach officer at Elections Canada, focusing on the Electors with Disabilities portfolio. Today, I'm here to share important information about registering and voting in a federal election. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video or to listen, and I hope you find the session informative and walk away with valuable insights. So, Elections Canada's mission is to ensure that Canadians can exercise their democratic rights to vote and to be a candidate. However, our research has revealed that not all Canadians have equal access to the electoral system. Certain groups face barriers that prevent them from fully participating in elections. To address these challenges, we've developed the Inspire Democracy program, which is a key part of our outreach strategy. The program was designed to understand why some Canadians do not exercise their right to participate in elections and to identify and address informational barriers to voting. So, through our research, we discovered that groups such as electors with disabilities, New Canadians, and Indigenous groups, among others, continue to experience obstacles in the voting process. Some of the barriers that these groups face include a lack of information about the electoral process, the feeling of not knowing enough to participate, navigating a lengthy list of IDs or acceptable IDs, and understanding various voting options, applying for election jobs, and becoming a registered candidate. So we work with stakeholders like Brain Injury Canada to make sure that everyone who wants to work and be involved can do so. We provide information on accessible voting and how to ask for accommodations and information on a few more things. So in a democracy, your voice and opinion matters. Voting is a way to express yourself, your concerns, and your priorities. It gives you the power to influence decisions that shape the future for yourself, your community, and the country. Um, we want you to think about issues that are important to you, like brain injury awareness. Voting can help ensure that the brain injury community has access to the supports and services that they need, and that Canada recognizes the impact brain injuries have on individuals and families. When you vote, you're sending a clear message about what matters most to you. You're helping decision makers understand your priorities and empowering them to act on issues that impact your life and the lives of others. Whether it's improving healthcare access, increasing support services, or raising awareness, your vote can drive meaningful change.
It's important for us to talk about the possibility of barriers when it comes to voting. Some things may make voting more complicated, including not being able to clearly and easily mark your ballot because of accessibility needs, not having the information needed to vote with confidence, a lack of interest in voting in the first place, health issues or disability preventing someone from voting in person, lack of accessibility at the voting location, no transportation to the voting location, and trouble with providing identification. While these barriers exist, Elections Canada has processes in place to ensure that everyone eligible to vote has the opportunity to do so. Voting is your right. In the next slides, we'll discuss who can vote, the different voting options and their steps, what you need to bring with you, and details about voting accessibility. Before we dive more deeply into the voting process, we first want to share how you can find your list of candidates. In every federal election, you will have candidates from different political parties campaigning for your vote so they can be chosen as the member of parliament, an MP. An MP represents a group of electors, that's you, all from the same riding, which is a geographic area in Canada. It is up to you to figure out which person running to be an MP you should vote for. When picking someone to vote for, think about things that are important to you and learn what those candidates have to say. On this slide are some examples of beliefs/issues that may be important to you, such as accessibility, healthcare, employment, the economy, climate change, and Indigenous reconciliation and supports.
So, who can vote? An elector is anyone in Canada who meets the voting requirements. So, they need to be at least 18 years old on election day, and they need to have a Canadian citizen. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about registering to vote. So, to vote in a federal election, electors must be registered. Most Canadians who are eligible to vote are already registered, but they might not be registered if they've recently moved, become a Canadian citizen, or never voted before. You can register at any time before an election, but if you don't, you can still register at the polls before you vote, and this includes advanced polling places. You can register or update your address if you need to by visiting elections.ca using the voter registration service, or by calling us and we'll send you a registration form. So why would you register in advance when you can register at the polls when you go to vote? If you register in advance with the right address, you'll receive a voter information card in the mail when a federal election is called. The voter information card tells you when, where, and the ways to vote. It can also save time when you go to vote because you can use it as a proof of name and address. But if you do this, remember to bring another piece of ID. So here is what a voting card looks like. This is just an example, but on your card, it will have your name and your address. On the back of the card, it will have information about where you can vote on election day, where you can vote early, and your Elections Canada office. If you ever have any questions about the information on your voter card, there's contact information for you on the card. You may notice on the card that it has signs for whether a location is wheelchair accessible. It also has a number you can call to find out if the location meets your accessibility needs. Many people with brain injury need different kinds of accessibility supports, so it might be helpful to call ahead. Okay, so now we'll discuss the different ways to vote. So there are 4 different ways to vote. You can vote on election day at your assigned polling station. You can vote on advanced polling days at your assigned polling station. You can vote early at an Elections Canada office across the country, any Elections Canada office across the country until the Tuesday before Election Day, or you can vote by mail, but keep in mind that deadlines do apply.
When an election is called, you will have a polling place that you are directed to go to. This will all be on your voter information card. You can also find out this information online or by calling Elections Canada. To vote on election day, you must prove your identity and your address and be registered. You can register to vote at your polling station when you go to vote or at your local Elections Canada office. But it's always recommended to register early to make your voting process as easy as possible during an election. When you choose to vote on election day and in person at any advanced polling stations, this means you have to leave your home. This will involve finding transportation and being among other people who will also be casting their vote. Your voter information card will also have information on it about advanced polling. These are places you can go before the election day to cast your vote in person. Your assigned polling station will be open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday before Election Day. The date, hours, and address of your advance poll will be available online on your voter information card or by calling Elections Canada. To vote at your advanced polling station, you must prove your identity and home address and be registered to vote. Voting by mail allows you to vote from anywhere. Anyone who is eligible to vote in Canada is eligible to vote by mail, no matter where they are at the time. If your home is in Canada, you must wait until after an election is called to apply to vote by mail. After an election is called, you can complete an application for registration and special ballot form. The form will be available on Elections Canada's website, at any local Elections Canada office, or by calling Elections Canada. Send Elections Canada your completed form and proof of identity and home address. You can submit these forms by fax, by mail, or in person at any Elections Canada office. Once your application is accepted, they will send you a special ballot voting kit by regular mail. If you apply in person, the staff will hand you the kit. The kit explains how to mark your special ballot and mail it in. If you're a Canadian elector, your home is outside Canada, meaning that you are living abroad, and you meet certain eligibility criteria, you can apply right away to vote by mail in a future election. You can do this online or by calling Elections Canada. If your application is accepted, your name will be added to the International Register of Electors. This is a list of Canadians temporarily living outside of Canada who can vote in federal elections. When an election is called, they will mail a special ballot voting kit to everyone in the International Register of Electors. The kit explains how to mark your special ballot and mail it in. Special ballot voting kit includes a special ballot, 2 envelopes, they keep your vote secret, instructions on how to mark and mail in your special ballot. Your completed special ballot must arrive at Elections Canada by the election day deadline or it will not be counted. Once your application to vote by special ballot has been accepted, this is the only way you can vote. You cannot vote at the advanced polling stations or at election day polls or apply for another special ballot. You may vote only once during an election, and you may only vote for a candidate running in your riding. After an election is called, Elections Canada sets up local offices in every riding in Canada. You can vote in person at any Elections Canada office across the country until the 6th day before Election Day. To vote at an Elections Canada office, you must complete an application for registration and special ballot, the same as if you were voting by mail. Staff can help you with this form if you'd like. You must show proof of your identity and address. Once your special ballot application is accepted, staff will give you a special ballot voting kit. You can vote on the spot, or if you prefer, you can come back to the office to submit your vote later. After an election is called, the address of Elections Canada offices will be available online or by calling Elections Canada. If you have sensory issues or feel overwhelmed by crowds and noises, advanced polling or voting by mail may be the best option for casting your vote. Elections Canada also provides options for voting in hospitals, long-term care facilities, and senior residences. A polling station may be set up on site, or an election worker may visit electors at their bedside to assist them with registration and voting. For voters who cannot read or use the special ballot process due to a disability, there is also a provision to vote at home if requested. To qualify for this service, you must meet certain criteria and contact Elections Canada before 6 p.m. on the 6th day before Election Day. The earlier you call before an election, the more time you'll have to get the information you need. To find out if someone is eligible to vote from home and to make those arrangements, you will need to call Elections Canada. When you're voting in person, we mentioned you will need to prove your identity and your address. There are a few different ways you can do this. Option 1. You can show a driver's license or any other card issued by a Canadian government, either federal, provincial/territorial, or local, that has your name, photo, and current address on it. Option 2. You can show 2 pieces of ID. Both must have your name, and at least one must have your current address. For example, you could show your voter information card and a bank statement or a utility bill. Your third option is to have someone who knows you and has the same polling station as you confirm in writing who you are and where you live. This person, called the voucher, must be able to prove their identity and address. Let's say you live with a caregiver and you don't have a driver's license, and the bills aren't in your name. You can still take your voter information card with you and have your caregiver confirm your name and address. If you decide to vote in person, you should go through your options and make sure you have all the identification and information you need to prove your identity and address. Keep them together and with you on election day so you have them ready when it's time to vote.
So, if you decide to vote in person, there are a variety of accessibility measures that should be in place or that you can request. Polling places must meet the mandatory criteria of the Polling Place Suitability Checklist to be considered accessible. There are 37 accessibility criteria, with 15 of them being mandatory. Polling places are encouraged to go above these standards and meet as much of the criteria as possible. To check the accessibility standards of your specific polling place, you can call Elections Canada or check your voter information card once you receive it in the mail. If your local polling place does not meet your needs, you may apply to receive a transfer ticket that allows you to vote at a more accessible polling place in your riding. You can also consider voting in a different way like by mail.
Elections Canada is working hard to make voting accessible to all Canadian electors. We try to make all polling stations accessible to everyone, but it's best to find out in advance if yours meets your needs. You can check the accessibility features of your assigned polling station for Election Day and advance polling days in 3 ways. On your voter information card, by entering your postal code into the Voter Information Service box at elections.ca, by calling us at 1-800-463-6868 or TTY 1-800-361-8935. If your assigned polling station doesn't meet your accessibility needs, or if you live in a community where there is no polling station within a reasonable distance from your home, call us. We will help you find an alternate polling station or discuss other ways you may be able to vote. Visit elections.ca for the official information on voting and the health and safety measures in place, or call 1-800-463-6868. TTY 1-800-361-8935.
So if you need any assistance while voting, please let the election worker know how they can help. Elections Canada understands that some electors may need help marking their ballot. If you require assistance, you can bring someone with you to help, or you can ask a poll worker for support. If you choose to bring a helper or a support person, they'll be required to make a solemn vow to respect the secrecy of your vote. This ensures that your vote remains secret. If you do not have anyone with you but still need help, an election worker can assist you with marking your ballot. It's important to note that while a relative, spouse, or partner may assist more than one person, a friend or helper can only assist one. You can also bring service animals to your polling place, except if local laws, prohibit service animals in public areas. You can contact Elections Canada if you believe this could be the situation. And you can also bring personal assistive devices like a pencil. The following video will list the accessibility tools and services we have available at the polls.
Federal election. Elections Canada offers many tools and services to make voting accessible. If you need assistance during the voting process, we're happy to help. There are a number of tools and services available when you go to vote on Election Day. Bigger ballot with candidate names in large print and braille lists of candidates, tactile and braille voting template, magnifiers, large grip pencils. We also offer language or sign language interpretation upon request. If you need interpretation services, call us at 1-800-463-6868 or TTY 1-800-361-8935 before the Tuesday before Election Day, 6 p.m. If you need assistance marking your ballot, you can bring someone you know or ask an election worker to help you. Our website is fully accessible and has voting information in multiple languages. There are also products available in many other formats, including large print, braille, and audio. If these options don't meet your accessibility needs, call us to discuss other ways you may be able to vote. Visit elections.ca for the official information on voting and the health and safety measures in place, or call 1-800-463-6868. TTY 1-800-361-8935.
In our electoral system, protection measures are in place to guarantee a safe and transparent voting process. These include checking voter ID, marking and counting paper ballots, and another voting safeguard is keeping votes secret. So voting is designed to be entirely confidential, protecting electors' privacy. There are also a number of measures in place related to counting votes and reporting results to protect the safety of elections. For example, trained and paid election workers count the ballots by hand, and they must close the voting places before the counting begins. This prevents unauthorized entry or exit. For your information, Elections Canada gathers comments and complaints from electors through a voter feedback form. You can fill out a feedback form online or at the polls. You can also give feedback to an election worker at your polling station if it's more convenient, or you can call Elections Canada. Your feedback is important, and it helps us to identify best practices and areas of improvement on accessibility issues. You can use this form to tell us how accessible your polling station is, how poll workers were there to help, how likely you are to vote again, and if you have any suggestions to improve your experience.
Thank you so much for watching our voting workshop with Elections Canada. We'd like to say a special thank you to our Elections Canada partners for their support. All of this information is available on our website and in the links in this video description. We encourage you to visit the websites linked in the video description for more information and use this video and other tools to help you cast your vote during this next federal election.